AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tom play. We're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Give you an LSU NFL draft roundup. We talked about Nuss in hour number 1. We talked about Monster Delane on Friday. Kind of talk about everybody else. Do that coming up here in about 15 minutes. Every Monday, we recap the weekend that was in the Southeastern Conference on the Diamond with our buddy David Dellucci from the SEC Network. Good enough to hang here. Luch, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Okay, so there was one sweep this weekend, LSU, the third consecutive week. You got anything?
Man, look, I mean, you can hit the repeat button from our conversations, maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's just team battled, man. You got to tip your cap to them. They hung in there. It was a raucous stadium, Super Bulldog weekend. They got 13,000 fans on game 1, and that was a game that was moved up into business hours. So electric atmosphere. Tigers just couldn't hold on to the lead all 3 games. And the good news, if you're looking for some silver lining, is some of the young players got to experience the atmosphere and playing in that situation, which is good for development, not only for next year, but for the stretch run of the season. So tough one to swallow, but I like the way the team battled.
Yeah, weird to be in April and to be talking about next year for LSU. But that's, I mean, Luch, barring them winning the SEC tournament, that's what this is now.
It's not mathematically out, okay? But
Luch,
when you look at things,
I love your optimism so much. I'm
trying, Matt. I'm trying.
No,
I'm trying.
Listen, I call myself, Luch, I call myself an optimistic realist. Yeah. I love to look at life through an optimist lens and believe in people and all that sort of stuff. I'm also a realist. And LSU finding a way into the postseason, the only way is to win the SEC tournament, right? I mean, they're not winning a series at Georgia. They've got South Carolina. Even if, do the math, right? Even if they sweep South Carolina this week, that gets them at 9. You have to win series at Georgia and home against Florida just to get to 13 to be a maybe.
And it's the RPI, too. The RPI. And look, Vanderbilt is battling the same situation. There's a really good chance that Vanderbilt is going to have the wins. You want at least 12. You'd feel a little better with 13, 14. You kind of shoe in playing in the Southeastern Conference. But the RPI, man, and you get into a point of the year where teams do it every year. They look at the midweek games and go, gosh darn, if we would have done this against McNeese State or Sacramento State or whatever, you hate to be in that situation. And you're also scoreboard watching too. You're seeing what other teams are doing, and that's a miserable place to be in. But there's still a lot of games, and you're building for a stretch run in Hoover. And LSU does really, really well every time they go to the SEC tournament.
I'm trying to think if there's something, if you watched LSU this weekend, that is a positive you would take away. I guess the only thing it has to be the freshmen, but what did you see from those guys?
Mature at bats. I just you see glimpses of the star players that they're going to be in the future, and like I dive into an at bat, and I look at everything from the way they take a borderline pitch and how they handle themselves in key situations. And you've got to be happy when you think about Omar Cerna, and he's hitting 314 right now. Just a really talented young man that's going to get even better. Mason Braun, gosh darn, you'd love to build your program around a guy like that. Ruckert, former Catholic High guy, is another guy that's going to be really good. So I just think, you want to win every single game. You want to win every single inning, but you want to see these guys mature and get a bunch of at-bats under their belt. And unfortunately, they haven't had a whole bunch of playing time. But to get in there and do well, that's one of the most difficult roles in baseball, is to not get consistent live at-bats and then get thrown in there and play really well. So I think they're going to mature as we get closer to the end of the season and turn into superstar players. This may be an opportunity that they wouldn't have had if LSU was playing better. It may end up better for everybody in the long run.
Luch, what happened to Alabama this weekend, losing that road series to Tennessee?
They're very similar to LSU. Like they're talented, and it's a team that you don't want to play if they play up to their potential. But then all of a sudden, they make these mistakes and errors that lead to big rallies for the other team. And Alabama took game one. They've got the number 2 strength of schedule in the country. So you're like, this is a team that's going to host. All they have to do is finish on a solid note. And then they get boat raced, run ruled in game 2, and then boat raced in game 3. And it's because of walks and errors. Very, very similar to LSU. Wild pitches, hit by pitches, just things that if you can control that and not give the other team the extra outs, especially in the SEC, everybody can capitalize on it. And the other thing with Alabama is their superstars, Justin LeBron. He's hitting around 250. He's just not playing well defensively and offensively. And every team needs their superstar to step up and be a producer. And it's coming mostly from freshmen on the Alabama team, not Justin LeBron.
David Dellucci, SEC Network. Georgia's 15-6, leading the league. A&M, Texas, Mississippi State, all kind of clumped right behind him. Which of those do you think has the best chance of maybe giving Georgia a run for their money in the league title?
The way A&M is playing is just really fun to watch if you're an average fan. I think that's the team that everybody needs to keep an eye on. Texas is good. Mississippi State is good, but A&M is rolling at the right time. It starts with their leadoff hitter, Gavin Grahovac. I think he's hitting 375, 14 home runs. He's hit 12 home runs since March 28th. I mean, this dude is on a tear. And then Jorian Wilson, which LSU fans got an opportunity to see when he came over here. Right fielder's got a cannon of an arm, hit a couple more home runs in the series this weekend. From top to bottom, they're solid. And Caden Sorrell, who's been on, I think, 18 home runs for a couple weeks, he's kind of hit a slump, but everybody around him has picked up the slack. And they're getting good pitching outings too. Aiden Sims, even Weston Moss threw the ball real well. So that is a team that's playing inspired baseball, and they've hit their strides at the right time.
David Dellucci, SEC Network, is our guest. Talk SEC baseball here every Monday on AFR. Unfortunate for the Tigers. Not a great week, not a great month for LSU. Do the Aggies have enough pitching to make a postseason run?
They do. Shane Sadejo, who is their game one starter, he's been pitching better as of late, but their bullpen has really stepped up, and their closer, Fresh Corn, is a legit closer. He doesn't throw 97, 99 miles an hour, but he's got good tempo. A couple other pieces in that bullpen have really stepped up over the last couple weeks, and it was a Florida series that Florida is an extremely talented team. You don't know what you're going to get from from one day to the next. But if you hang pitches over the plate, those guys are going to hit them out of the ballpark. And A&M they outdueled them. They outdueled Aiden King and Liam Peterson, who are two top-tier aces in the country. And it's easier on a pitching staff when you know your team's going to put up 10 runs every single time you go out there to go throw strikes, because you're not trying to win by one run and you're not putting pressure on your defense. So good pitching comes from powerful offense as well.
David Dellucci, SEC Network. Make sure you catch Rally Cap on Sundays after the baseball weekend. The softball weekend has finished. Hangs out with us here on Mondays, talk a little baseball. We always appreciate you, Luch. Thanks, man.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, be well. It's after. He was trailing us and hang in there. We're good, man. Like the getting has been good here for a long time. To say it often, like when you go through the muck, it makes the glory that much better. When you go through the suck, the losses, it makes achieving great things that much better. So you grin and bear it while this is awful, but realize you got the right guy in Jay Johnson, and in time you'll be better for it. Hey, we're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawbillsTire.com. ShawbillsTire.com. Name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they treat you like family. Y'all, we're getting close to summer. Means a lot of people going to be hitting the road, taking that family vacation. If that's you, make sure you bring the thing to Shawbills before you hit the road. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. They'll sell you the best tires at the cheapest price. They even have 6-month financing with 0 interest going on right now at Shawbills. You can learn more on all the deets at the website, ShawbillsTire.com. Hit the promotions tab at the top of the page. Check out social media. They got the post there as well. 6-month interest-free financing available. All the deets are at ShawbillsTire.com. ShawbillsTire.com. Shawbills. We keep you rolling. It wasn't all bad for Jay Johnson this weekend because while they were in Mississippi after being swept by Mississippi State, Jay found his way down to see an elite-level prospect and got a commitment. I'll tell you about that coming up. And I also want to recap the LSU draft. We talked about Nuss in hour one. We talked about Mansour Delane on Friday. We'll talk about the rest of the guys and where they landed. We'll get to that next on AFR.
After further review.
Rev Fiber. You know, fiber gets things moving. And Rev Fiber moves your internet at lightning fast speeds. How about that? Just out here handing out free marketing advice for our friends over at Rev. REV. RevFiber.com. RevFiber.com. I don't get a ding or anything. You sleep at the wheel. Nothing. A little hi-hat. Little rim shot. Boom. Take it. We'll take it. Rev Fiber. So look, home or business. We're talking internet service provider. We're talking home automation. We're talking security. We're talking phone. We're talking cable. Rev can do all of it. You get great local service, a local company that's been around for 90 years, and an all-fiber network with lightning fast speeds that's more cost-effective. Check them out today, RevFiber.com. RevFiber.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
For months, made the comment that the NFL draft would be the biggest indictment on the LSU, the 2025 LSU football team. Because it's very likely you were going to approach double-digit players drafted, and you'd look back at a very talented football team that ended up not achieving what many, yours truly, and I think a lot of people thought they would. I mean, they were a preseason top 10 team who beat Clemson, got all the way up to number 3 in the country, and we know what unfolded after that, of course. Nussmeier with we now know the cyst on his spine and being limited, and Brian Kelly being fired. You know the whole story. Well, in all, 7 LSU players were drafted. And listen, I'm not an analyst that covers all 32 NFL teams, so I can't tell you specifically how Xavier Thomas fits in with the Bears. I'm fired up for him that he went in round 3. Mansour Delane went 6 overall. AJ Halsey was the next player taken. By the way, his pick was announced by Pat McAfee, which is pretty cool. You have that? This was a Halsey getting announced by Pat McAfee.
With the 78th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Indianapolis Colts select AJ Halsey, DB out of LSU.
It's a really good pick, man. Love AJ Halsey. He looks more like a linebacker than he does a safety. Great instincts, as we saw this year. Great ball skills. Physical player. Can help in the run game. Maybe not the most athletic. I would say Halsey is a super high floor NFL player. Maybe not the ceiling that a safety like Caleb Downs would have, or Grant Delpit, or you look at some of the top safeties in the NFL. Maybe not that ceiling, but a very high floor, a guy that'll play a long time in the NFL. So congrats to A.J. Halsey in round 3. Xavier Thomas in round 3 to the Chicago Bears. Ran a sub 4.340, and that clearly just elevated his stock in the minds of many. And so now you pair him there with Caleb Williams and another potential set for another toy for Ben Johnson in that offense. Probably surprised many that Bauer Sharp was the next Tiger off the board. But when you get late into the draft, teams take flyers on players, and sometimes it's about fit, and sometimes it's about not wanting to have to convince a guy as a UDFA to sign with you when the player has the decision. So Bauer Sharp, gets taken by the Buccaneers in round 6, and then Barian Brown gets selected by the Saints, as we talked about. I think it's a great fit in New Orleans after the Saints traded Rashid Shaheed a year ago to the Seahawks, and you lost your return man. I mean, you saw Mason Tipton and Devin Neal and Kendre Miller and a lot of different players return kicks for New Orleans. Dante Pettis. Well, now you got a guy that is the SEC all-time record holder for kickoff returns for a touchdown. That makes a lot of sense for Barian Brown. If he slots in as a receiver, great, but mostly he's there as a specialist for you. The last two are the most intriguing, obviously, because they were the highest profile outside of Mansour Delane. It's Harold Perkins and Garrett Nussmeier. We talked a good bit about Nuss going in round 7. Just very clearly the injury is what took Garrett off of a lot of teams' boards. And he's got a great opportunity. I'd much rather be a 7th rounder to Cincinnati, or excuse me, a 7th rounder to Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid than a 3rd rounder to the Jets or the Cardinals. Terrible organizations that are not going to put you in a good spot. Sure, he'd have an opportunity to play there. He's not going to have an opportunity to play in Kansas City. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is coming off a knee injury, so there'll be a lot of reps in the offseason work for Garrett Nussmeier. He'll have a great opportunity to make the team, but it's Patrick Mahomes' team. He's nowhere near retirement. Perkins is obviously an interesting one as a 4-year guy at LSU. He's just a classic tweener. As an freshman All-American back in 2023, and then, we just or 2022, excuse me. And then he tried to make himself into an off-ball linebacker. That didn't work. And then he bulked up before the 2024 season and unfortunately tore his ACL and missed the bulk of that season. Comes back last year. They move him to star, which is more natural habitat. He did a nice season. He stayed healthy and he was productive. There's just a giant question about Perkins where he fits in the NFL. It's not a new conversation. He's not big and physical enough to be a 3-down off-the-ball linebacker. He's certainly not big enough to be an edge rusher that's going to line up against a 320-pound tackle. And he's not good enough in coverage to be a safety. So he's just a tweener. So he's going to Atlanta. He's a phenomenal athlete. They're just going to have to find a role for him that makes sense in that defense. And if they can, they got a special athlete and a good kid and a young person with a great attitude and good work ethic and all that stuff. It's just a matter of Atlanta finding a role for Perkins that makes sense. And LSU had a handful of UDFAs as well. You probably know them by now, but it's Bernard Gooden to the Browns, West Weeks to the Colts, Jack Pyburn to the Bucks, Josh Thompson to the Chiefs, Aaron Anderson to the Browns, Chris Hilton to the Commanders, and Jacobian Guillory to the Chargers. And, I think about it, back to where we started talking about this, the draft being an indictment on this team. You signed 3 portal defensive ends. None of them were drafted. Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, and Jamari Butler. And only one signed a UDFA deal so far, and that's Jack Pyburn. Weeks and Anderson were guys that spent multiple years here, but were transfers. Neither drafted. Berrien Brown, 6th round. Xavier went in round 3, but really it's because he ran a 4.28 in the 40. Josh Thompson was your second. He and Braylon Moore were your most productive offensive linemen, undrafted. It was just a very disappointing portal year for LSU, obviously. You spent a lot of money on that team and a lot of money on guys that had not only experience, but were productive Power 4 football players that came to LSU last season, and it just didn't work out. The other thing that I think is fascinating, if you look at the number of players drafted by school in this draft, they should be really frustrated there in Columbus, Ohio, because Ohio State led the way with 11 drafted players. They made the playoff, but obviously didn't win a championship. Bama and Texas A&M each had 10, both playoff teams. 3 teams had 9. Clemson, Miami, and Texas Tech. Well, Miami and Texas Tech were playoff teams. Clemson was not. Georgia, Indiana, and Penn State had 8 players drafted. Georgia, Indiana, playoff teams. Penn State was not. And then with 7, Iowa, LSU, Oregon, Washington, Florida, and Oklahoma. So Oklahoma and Oregon were playoff teams, had 7 guys drafted. Iowa, LSU, Washington, Florida were not, and a couple of those got their coach fired. You look at that in context and you can realize who should be happy and who should not, based on the talent they had. Clemson had 9 players drafted, right in line with Miami and Texas Tech. They didn't make the playoff. They were 7-6. Penn State had 8 players drafted, right in line with Georgia and Indiana, who won the national championship. Penn State fired their coach, had a losing season. So I think what this shows is LSU had a talented roster comparable with teams that made the college football playoff. They just didn't get enough production out of that roster. Coaching, buy-in, system, injuries, all of it plays a role. But that's a pretty clear indication there. If you're wondering, Ole Miss had 2 players drafted. That's the only other team. And we're not, aside from Tulane and James Madison, who had none, because Tulane and James Madison don't belong anywhere near the college football playoff. And we all know that to be objectively true. I'm just the one who will sit here and scream it from the mountaintops, who has a platform that's willing to say it and not worry if you offend Tulane or James Madison. Fine football teams, no business being in the college football playoff whatsoever. So you're robbing legitimate schools that play a real schedule with real players. You're robbing them of an opportunity to compete for a championship, to placate schools that have no business being there, and are just there to cash a check. It's just a financial decision. Stupid. Anyway, but Ole Miss with 2 is the outlier, which I think is a major hat tip to Lane Kiffin. For all of the success he's had in building great offenses, his teams have not had the high-level team success that's normally associated with the best coaches. That's an objective fact. I've said this when Lane Kiffin got hired. The only thing Lane Kiffin has won is a couple of CUSA titles when he was at FAU as a head coach. He was a preseason number 1 at Southern Cal and got fired. He was at Tennessee for 1 year. They won 7 games. At Ole Miss, he won games at Ole Miss at a clip that they never won there before, but never at a national champion level. And the team in 24 that set the program record for most players drafted in a season went 9-3. They threw up on themselves in 3 games they had no business losing. This was the team where you look at Lane and say, I think that's the year where he made the big step as a head coach. Because that Ole Miss team with 2 guys drafted had no business being 11-1 and going to the college football playoff. But they did. And that's a major credit to Lane Kiffin. Whether he were the LSU coach today or not, I would say you'd have to acknowledge that. It's like the larger the sample size grow, you can either confirm or disconfirm beliefs. Remember, I've said this often, but remember when Clemsoning was a thing? I mean, that was the label that Dabo had at Clemson, was Clemsoning. And then they started winning national championships, and nobody says it anymore. And I think it's probably something similar with Lane. They'd win games, they'd pull some upsets, they'd go to a nice bowl game, but they were never contenders nationally. And when they finally had the roster to be in 2024, they choked 3 games they had no business losing. But this was the year in 25 with a less talented roster that they broke through. Now he's going to have a really talented roster at LSU. See if you can build on it. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. It's Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. We're not going to quick break, y'all. Come back. Saturday, speaking of Lane Kiffin, Saturday I was at the LSU Max Gala. I'll tell you about it. It's a big-time fundraiser, obviously, for LSU in a very integral time and pivotal time when you need to raise money. So it's a good room. I want to talk about the Saints UDFAs as well, who maybe has a shot to make this team. We'll knock that around a bit. We're glad you're hanging out with us. Jimmy will be here for Auto Locks in about 15 minutes. Stick around. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
91 degrees today, y'all. 91 degrees. You know what doesn't feel good? 91 and humid. You know what does feel good? 91 and humid, and they go jumping in your pool. You want to make that dream a reality? Call Duplessis Pools. My buddy Derek Duplessis over at Duplessis Pools, he will build you a beautiful pool. Now, there's a lot of companies that will. Any design you want, all the different finishes and features, water features, lights, the whole thing, the whole nine, the lounge ledge, all that sort of stuff. They can do all of it. Resort-style pool, custom everything. You can do everything. The biggest difference with Duplessis Pools is the quality. Industry standard, 1-year workmanship warranty. Duplessis Pools offers a 10-year workmanship warranty. DuplessisBuilders.net, DuplessisBuilders.net.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Got to spend part of my Saturday over at LSU football ops at the indoor facility, a place I've been many, many, many times. First time, as I recall, though, being in the indoor facility in a suit. Shout out to Haspel, by the way. It was supposed to be Saturday night. The LSU Max Gala was supposed to be in Tiger Stadium. With the threat of rain, they made the decision earlier in the week to move it to the indoor facility. And I'll tell you this. The novelty of being at an event on the field in Tiger Stadium, not in the stadium club, like on the field in Tiger Stadium. The novelty of being at an event in Tiger Stadium is pretty cool. You know what's better? Air conditioned when it's 85 degrees and you're wearing a suit. You know, that is can we agree? Like, that is a much better option.
That tracks. And also not getting wet potentially as well. You know, that matters too.
It didn't rain.
Okay.
However, I did learn that while they were setting up, they had the roll doors have like the roll-up garage doors in the indoor. So while they're set up, they had those doors up. Well, naturally put it down, turn the AC on. Well, humidity, AC breeds condensation. So when I was sat down in my chair with the pad on the metal chair, the condensation, nobody knew, and so I'm like, why is my ass wet? I'm like, I'm not sweating. I was like, it's and like we're looking around like everybody's chair.
Because Louisiana. That's why.
That's why. Something to plan for next year. Maybe perhaps let's leave the chairs inside a little bit longer. Don't have the roll doors up. But anyway, great night. I think that the LSU Max crew did a great job putting it on. They brought out all the trophies. So they had. By the way, this thing. There's me with the national championship trophy. Everybody holds up the golden ice cream cone. Have you ever held it?
No.
So my first time. the golden ice cream cone doesn't look too heavy.
No.
Right? People hold it up. This, as you could tell, has the golden ice cream cone and the base.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, that whole contraption there, £110.
Okay. I thought that's where you were going to go, probably about 100 pounds.
I was not prepared for it to be that heavy. I mean, hell, if I went, I was like, oh, man, I just didn't realize that it was that heavy. It was a great picture, great photo op. And the other thing that was really cool is, so at this event, the shout out to the Bocock brothers. They did premium cigars specifically for the Just Different event. If you go to bocockbrothers.com and buy cigars, use the code MATT15. MATT15, MATT15, 15% off your order. Another cool thing about this event is, the cool thing about the event is a lot of the coaches are there, and so the coaches sit at the table with the guests, right? So you buy a table, and then coaches sit with you. At our table, so I got to meet all of the new, a lot of the new, there's a lot of them, but I got to meet quite a few of the new LSU assistant coaches that had come from Ole Miss or from other places. And the two coaches that were at our table were Sawyer Jordan, who's the inside receivers coach, and Joe Houston, who's the new special teams coach, who came over from Florida. He was there with Billy Napier. And previously had been at the Patriots with Bill Belichick in New England. Two really bright guys and great people who are thrilled to be at LSU. Sawyer Jordan is 30. He's getting married this week, told me, so congrats to him. Now that spring's over, I think it's Saturday, maybe Friday or Saturday this week, he and his fiancée are getting married. And then Joe Houston, I mean, I want to get him on the show. I hope to get him on the show so he can tell this story, but Lane doesn't really allow his assistants to do interviews. But Joe told me the story, a guy who went to Southern Cal, has a finance degree, was working in L.A. in finance, and just after 9 months hated it. So went and was working, took a JUCO job coaching, and was working at a pizza place. Like, how about that? Like, you want to talk about, so we kind of traded stories about, like, I don't think a lot of people, I tell people all the time, like, young people that want to get into this profession, media. I've told Muse this, I've told everybody. What's the thing I say about media all the time, Muse? You've heard me say it.
You said a lot of things, but I'm guessing you're going with, you're not going to make a whole lot when you get in there. You might have to work 2 jobs. You're going to eat a lot of ramen noodles, things of that nature.
What I always tell people is, it just sucks until it doesn't anymore. It just does. I mean, whenever I'll go talk to college students or whatever, with a college degree, I worked 5 years in media before I had a full-time job, and it paid me $27,000. That was after 5 years of experience with a college degree. It just sucks until it doesn't anymore. But it has a way of weeding out people who don't actually want to do it. And don't want to persevere through the suck to get to the good. And it was interesting listening to Joe kind of tell those stories. Like, this guy with a degree from Southern Cal was working in finance in L.A. and hated it and decided to go work at a pizza place so he can coach JUCO. And then fast forward, he starts getting big-time jobs. Bill Belichick hires him with the Patriots. He was with Saban. He gets hired by the Patriots. Belichick hires him. Then he ends up at Florida with Napier, and now he's at LSU. I mean, it's an incredible story. So really bright guys, too. All I'd say is my first impression of some of these guys, and really impressive group, the ones I got to meet. You know, a lot of them I've heard of and talked about, but haven't yet met, because even though we're out there at practice, you're not talking to the coaches during practice, and Lane's the only one that does interviews. So it was a nice opportunity to get to know a lot of these guys. Will be working with the staff. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. And as far as finances, was told they raised more money than they did a year ago, which is great. You keep building on it every year, and we all know the importance of revenue right now, and so keep driving it up. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. Just told you the combination of humidity, right? Like wet and humid, breeding ground for mold. That's why Louisiana is the mold capital of the world. If you want to knock mold out, think you have black mold or mite, Parish Restoration can help. They'll come spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. All you got to do is go to parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. It's mold remediation done right the first time. Go to the website, fill out the form on the homepage. They give you a free estimate. It's more cost-effective. It's more efficient. It's more effective. It's Parish Restoration. Parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. Before we break and get to Jimmy for Otterlocks, this is massive. Prep Baseball Mississippi was the first to report it. I have since been able to confirm that Colby Stringer has committed to LSU. You may not know that name, and that's fine. Colby Stringer is one of the top prep pitching prospects in America. He's from Mississippi, from Marion, West Marion, and he committed to LSU over Mississippi State and Ole Miss. He'd previously been committed to Pearl River, a community college. This is a really interesting one because we're all conditioned to go, well, he's going to sign in the draft. Probably not. There's always the risk, but this is a guy who, like, the most respected baseball people I know, like the people who are the longest term scouts that I have the utmost respect for their baseball mind, acumen, abilities, rave about this kid. His stats this year, and his high school season's done, by the way. He was 12-0 with a 0.3 ERA, 65 2/3 innings pitched. He allowed just 19 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. In 65 innings pitched, he allowed 4 earned runs. He struck out 166 and walked just 20. He did not, of the 19 hits, he did not allow an extra base hit all year. 19 singles. That's it. Dude. And the thing I think I love the most, aside from the strike throwing ability, he's self-made. He's just a country kid. He taught himself how to, he didn't go to any of the showcases, didn't go to any of the big schools or camps. He's just a self-made kid who taught himself to pitch by watching YouTube videos. And is, as I was told, did not take the biggest NIL offer, just wanted to play for Jay Johnson. And Hunt was telling me that after the game on Sunday, Jay was telling Bill Franquez, I don't know if Hunt said this on the air. I guess it's fine to say now, obviously. But Jay apparently didn't ride the bus with the team. He said, I got to go see a recruit. I think pretty clear the recruit he was going to see was Colby Stringer, and Jay got the commit. So this is a massive, massive get. And because Stringer didn't do the whole camp circuit and all the the all-star games and all the stuff, right? Most teams don't have extensive evaluations of Stringer. And so it's probably a thing where he's maybe like he's projected as like a 5th round guy. And that's probably not going to be enough to keep him from campus. So this is a guy who will be pitching for LSU next year. Very likely will be pitching for LSU next year. And a realistic expectation is pushing for the number 3 spot on the weekend. And if not, low end, the midweek or leverage bullpen arm. And a guy that you think is going to be high projection. So really, really excited about it, man. I've been talking, I've had several scout friends telling me about this guy for several months now as he started to accelerate and ascend through his high school season. And my goodness, the way that people I trust gush about him, it's a very exciting thing for a staff that needs consistent strike throwers. Here's one. The Cavalry's on the way next year. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out our final break of the show. We'll come back. Jimmy will do Outer Lock. Stay here.
AFR.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. Hey, Thursday is the deadline. Thursday is the deadline. Gordon's grads. The Gordon McKernan laptop giveaway. Gordon does this every year around high school graduation. 15 laptops or MacBooks that he gives away to graduating Louisiana high school seniors that are off to 2 or 4 year colleges or trade school. If you want to enter, if it's you, maybe it's your son, your daughter, niece, nephew, grandson, granddaughter, friend, neighbor, whoever it is, you know a graduating high school senior from a Louisiana high school, tell them to log on to gordonsgrads.com, gordonsgrads.com to see if they can get more information about how they can enter to win one of these laptops or MacBooks. Good luck from Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And we do shutters too.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Hey, Otter.
Hey,
Muse was wondering if on tomorrow's Live at Lunch, y'all heading out to Lubbock for new contributor Brendan Sorsby joining the show, giving his best bets?
No, you gotta. Yeah, I don't.
Muse out here throwing darts. Dagger! Oh my
I think Brandon Sorsby's eligibility could be in question,
Could
to say
be.
the least.
If
So,
that, I mean,
yeah.
like, there's a black and white rule. If you bet on sports, you're
Right.
done. Like, it happened to Hunter Deckers. Like, he's done.
Right.
Sorry, Texas Tech. He's done. And if he's not, burn the whole thing down.
So yeah, and I tell you what, I don't think the NFL is going to mess with him a whole lot either. So no, it's a bad situation. So and he kind of did the investigation for the NCAA. Maybe they can really strengthen their muscles after he checks into a facility. So admitting to what he's done, and everything's on record, everything's mobile, everything's traced.
Yeah.
So it's not done with the the corner bookie. So there you go. We got 4 games for you tonight. In first of all, 2 in the NBA. We're going to go with the Orlando Magic plus the 3.5 at home against Detroit. Forget the 1-8 seed. This has been one where 5 of the 6 halves have been won by Orlando. Only game 2 that second half where Detroit blew them out and went on like that 30-0 run. But Orlando, where defensive pressure intensifies, less guys can get their shots off. Orlando's got about 3 or 4 guys that can get their shot off, create their own shot. Not so much for the Pistons. So Pistons, they're getting in a tough spot here. So we'll take the 3.5 with Orlando at home. Minnesota has 3-1 lead over Denver. Denver's got all kinds of issues. I understand that with Jokic. I mean, what a kind of a Bush League move by him to go attack the guy in a layup. So he's frustrated. But, man, without Ant-Man, without DiVincenzo at Denver, elimination game, give me the Nuggets. I know it's a big number here, minus 11.5, though. Major exhale spot for Minnesota. I think this series could come down to game 6 in Minnesota, but this one will go all to Denver. So laying a big price, we know it. We're looking for Denver to get right against the undermanned Minnesota T-Wolves. Major League Baseball got 1 game tonight, Minnesota at home against Seattle. Seattle's been a major disappointment this time. So has Luis Castillo, the veteran right-hander. Wonder if he's finally hitting the wall. So he has gotten hit hard this year for Seattle. We're going to take Minnesota. And then 1 in hockey, the Penguins in game 5 tonight, back at home against Philadelphia.
1 minute remaining.
They're down 3-1. They were down 3-0. Look for them to force a game 6 back in Philadelphia after a win at home tonight.
Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We're at Dick's House Sport at the Mall of Louisiana on Bluebonnet tomorrow.
All right. Orlando and Denver on the hardwood. MLB, you got Minnesota Twins on the diamond, and then the Penguins on the ice. All right, Otter, good luck. Thank you.
All right, good luck.
All right, man. We'll see you tomorrow. It's After Further Review. Always love telling you about Evermore. Drink Evermore. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. Evermore.com. You see me drinking. I've been drinking the whole show. Being real with you, I got to go pee. I got to go pee. I drink so much Evermore every day. It's delicious. It's healthy. It's refreshing. It's hydrating. Look at the baby. And drink Evermore. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. All right, Muse Polly, thanks. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Sincere gratitude to each and every one of you that voted and have named Parrish Construction and Roofing the winner of the 2026 Best of Baton Rouge Best Roofing Company from The Advocate. How about it, y'all? Come on, give me a little bit. Give me a little bat. So cool, man. We're very grateful. Earlier this year, we won the award for Best Roofing Company and the Best of Ascension, and now The Advocate's Best of Baton Rouge for 2026. Parrish Construction and Roofing, the best roofing company in the city. Tell you all the time to do business with someone you know, and we are sincerely grateful for everyone who has done just that and given us the opportunity, as we always say, to earn your business, whether it's commercial or residential, repairs, replacements, gutters, soft wash. We do it all over the state of Louisiana, but thanks so much for naming Parrish Construction and Roofing the Best of Baton Rouge winner for 2026. ParrishBuilt.com.